Hi guys, welcome back. To the
We've been gone
what
too
the
long.
hell's the name of this?
Welcome back to Question the Answer.
Question the Answer. Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit.
We've missed you guys so much.
This is how excited we are to be back.
This has got to be somewhere in Asia.
Yeah, this is what they do with kids in school to warm them up in between classes.
It's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this at work.
And then let's
from now
flash
on.
forward to the American classrooms.
But look how in sync they are.
I know.
Everybody wants
So-
kung fu fight. You got that song's gonna be in your head for the rest
It
of the
is.
day. The
It
rest
is.
of the day.
We're happy to be back after a hiatus.
A little bit of a hiatus. Sorry, guys.
But I feel like we have some really fun topics today.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it nice and light.
Yeah. So we got a little Gypsy Rose, which, is a gift. And then Natalia Grace.
Now that's the gift that keeps
Wild.
giving.
Wild.
What have you seen or heard or documentaries or movies? What have you watched on those two stories?
Okay, so Gypsy Rose, there was a documentary on Hulu called The Act. It was with Patricia Arquette and Joey King or whatever her name is. And this was at least a few years ago.
Okay.
So I've known about Gypsy Rose for a little bit.
I watched the original Natalia Grace documentary where they were claiming she was a psychopath.
Is it The Curious Case of Natalia
Yes.
Grace? So I watched that too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So who do you want to start with?
We can eeny, meeny, miny, moe it.
Want to do Gypsy?
Let's do Gypsy. We can do Gypsy.
Okay.
No, Gypsy's out of jail,
Gypsy is out of jail.
but did not join Taylor Swift at the football game.
I think she was a little disappointed about that.
Did you hear about that? That whole big story? I'm so sick of Taylor Swift.
I mean,
There is a such thing as too much publicity. So apparently they were asking
Agreed.
Travis Kelce is his name, who, by the way, nobody knew a damn thing about until he started dating.
Well, don't get people up in arms because there's a lot of guys that would say absolutely they knew who Travis Kelce was.
Holy, nobody knew who this person was.
Did you know who?
No, a lot of people knew about Kelsey. He's a great football player.
Oh, stop. Okay. You mean he can catch a ball well? I love how people
Shots
think
are fired.
Football players are so amazing. These people are paid to catch a ball. Anyway, all right. But they were asking him, anyway, back to my original story. They were asking him, does it upset you that people are asking you so many questions about Taylor Swift rather than the Super Bowl?
Because like all the reports I see half the time is not unsure if Taylor Swift's going to be able to attend the Super Bowl or she's there, and all you see are just like, I mean, I guess not all you see, but you just see a lot of clips of her. After the game, they're hugging and da-da-da.
I mean, before Christmas, I was like, it's so cute.
I know. I was
They're
going
in
to refer back to our
love.
last episode.
It's just nauseating at this
It's too
point.
much.
What happens when they break up?
I mean, she'll have a new album.
This woman has made a career off of her failed relationships with men. So
I know. Maybe this will be maybe they're going to last.
But
Yeah.
whose fault is all this?
It's the media.
It's absolutely.
It's the media. It's not her fault. AJ's there for
AJ
it.
just brings it full circle right back to the media for us.
So, Gypsy Rose, just as
And
a little,
Dee Dee.
and Dee Dee Blanchard.
Do you want to kind of give the synopsis of this?
So, only because I was like super into this show. Okay, Gypsy Rose was born.
I love that name.
Gypsy
No,
Rose.
Rose.
Oh, I was like, oh,
just
okay.
Rose. You can
All right.
86 the gypsy.
She was born in 1991.
First and foremost, like, what is wrong with a mother who names their kid
Gypsy?
Gypsy Rose?
Correct.
Or Gypsy.
Well, and her
Is it
parents.
Dee Dee Rose?
Dee Dee Blanchard.
So once again, what is wrong with you where you got to name someone Gypsy Rose?
She loved it. She
Was that her
loved
stripper
for
name?
Her daughter.
What's that? I mean,
I'm thinking she was not a stripper.
some people might.
Just from photos that I've seen.
Is it the plaid? Is it Gypsy, her first name, Rose, her middle name, Blanchard, her last name, or is it Gypsy Rose,
I think
potential unknown middle name, and then last
I
name?
feel like because everyone refers to her as Gypsy Rose, so I feel like that's her name.
I'd be like, hey, Gyps.
Hey, Gypsy.
What's going on, Gyps? Do you know what I call it? Side note. Do you know
G.
what I call GPS? Gypus.
There you go.
Gypus. You'll never forget
Gypus.
that. So kung fu fighting and Gypus. So the two
I'm
things
trying
I've
to think.
given
I
you
don't think
today.
I even say GPS.
Gypus. Right? It kind of makes you giggle, right? Try it.
Gypsy.
No. Gypsy.
Gypsy.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, Gypsy Rose was born in 91, and her parents were Dee Dee and Rod.
What happened to
But
Rod?
here's the thing, and this is kind of like, this is
Dee
how
Dee
it all
kill him?
started. Well, no, but Rod was only 17 when Dee Dee got pregnant, and I guess Dee Dee had lied about her age because he at the time thought she was like 21 or 22, and she was 24. So already you're starting off questionable. He was in high school.
So we have what happens when you sleep with someone who's too young?
A minor. I mean, isn't 17 still considered?
But she did it to him. Dee Dee.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Is that not the case anymore?
What is that called? Statutory rape?
Yeah.
So we have a bit of statutory raping going on. Okay.
Well.
What a love story. Let's keep going.
So you're already starting off in a questionable manner.
And maybe 17 was legal.
So they
in
did
this
get
state.
married. They did get married.
Oh.
But it didn't last long. There was a quote from him in one of the articles. I think it was a People article that said he woke up on his 18th birthday and realized he wasn't in love with Dee Dee and didn't think this was where his life should be. So they got divorced. Now they have this daughter, Gypsy Rose, and he claims that he was involved in her life for the first 10 years. Dee Dee says he was not.
Well, how did all this go on with the kid if he wasn't?
So
Or if he was?
Well, right. Dee Dee, took the baby. She was obviously the caregiver. She was a devoted mother, they called her in the beginning. But starting from age 4 months old, Dee Dee, that's when it started, or I think it was even 3 months, was convinced that Gypsy Rose had sleep apnea. So she started taking her to appointments. She got tested for sleep apnea. Nothing came up. And then there it really stemmed Dee Dee thinking she had all these illnesses, going so far as saying that her daughter had leukemia. She was in a wheelchair. She told her daughter she couldn't walk. She was given feeding tubes. She was on cancer medications. Shaved her head.
Muscular dystrophy.
And muscular dystrophy.
Vision and hearing impairments. Seizures. And then I had more.
I mean, there's a whole slew of medical issues that she was convinced Gypsy had. This is called Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Do you know how I learned about this
What?
whole syndrome? The show House.
Oh,
That's how I learned about Munchausen's through proxy. Did I say that right?
Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or
Munchausen syndrome by proxy,
Yeah.
where basically the caretaker is making somebody sick in order for them to get the attention needed.
Correct.
Do you know anything about Dee Dee's life?
The only thing I read about her, I think it was either her father or her stepfather. She was molested by that man. And then it came out that Gypsy was as well.
Molested by who?
The grandfather. So Dee Dee's.
Does Gypsy say that or the mother?
She did. Gypsy said that as well.
Okay.
So here are some pictures of Gypsy.
And this is a psychological disorder.
Correct.
This is a very sick individual.
Correct. So the problem was, and why this went on for so long, I mean, literally, Gypsy's entire life, I think up until she was like 19 or 20, she was dealing with this. So,
and remember, back then, they didn't have like things that we have today where there's like my chart and where things are like finally connected together and other doctors can see what other doctors have done.
correct. So and the thing that what Dee Dee got away with was they moved around a few times. So she would go see these doctors, and the doctors would come back after doing all these tests saying, we're not finding anything, nothing's wrong. And then Dee Dee would stop seeing those doctors and go to another doctor or
doctor.
move. That's why I think she was able to get away with all of this for so long. And she came off to people as like a devoted, caring mother who like dedicated her life to taking care of her ill child.
When in reality, she was dedicating her life to making her kids
She was the
sick.
one making her sick. And it's like, think about that mentally for a kid. That's all you know your whole life. Since 4 months old. That's all you know.
So I saw the other TLC documentary. I shouldn't say I watched the whole thing. It was probably a good 20 minutes of my life. But Gypsy Rose was being interviewed and talking about not just her upbringing, but life with her mother. And her mother would chain her to the bed. Her mother would basically, if she did anything like stand up out of the wheelchair, I guess Gypsy would have to pay the price for that.
Kind of abusive, yeah.
She knew something was going on that didn't seem correct, because she's like, no, I can stand, but mom won't let me when I'm here. Yeah.
Think about that mentally. So you're a young girl. You've been put in this wheelchair. You're your mother. Your only caretaker.
Who everybody else says is amazing.
Yes, and it's your mom at the end of the day is telling you you're ill, you're sick, you can't walk, and then you get to be like a teenager and you're like, I can freaking walk. Like I'm walking.
No.
And doesn't that make you question everything?
Yeah.
And then but it's your mom.
Yeah,
and you've been made to believe she's taking care of you.
She was severely abused because Stanfield, there's a Dr. Stanfield, recalled that the first time, or this was her lawyer or something, so that the first time that he met Gypsy, she was out of breath by walking 75 yards. It's only 9 meters from the elevator to the room where they talked. And she was severely malnourished and physically frail.
I mean, look at her. And the thing that, I don't know.
Look at her.
I mean, it's wild. So going back to moving doctors and all that, in 2005, Dee Dee, I don't know if this was ever officially found out, but Dee Dee claimed that their house was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. And she also said because of that, all the medical records were destroyed in that hurricane. So this allowed them to move to, I think, Missouri. And Habitat for Humanity built them a house there with a ramp and all this. They got some media attention from it. They got tickets. They got to go to Walt Disney World. They got tickets to go see Miranda Lambert.
They get a puppy?
Yeah, they were getting donations because, you know, there was attention on Gypsy, and this wonderful mother is doing everything for her daughter. So I think in 2008. So Gypsy, I know there was 1.2 right before I think she was murdered. Gypsy obviously was, I think, 18 or 19. She met some person online and met them somewhere. It was a man. And
it was a man.
Wanted to get away. Gypsy, or Dee Dee, found out where she was, got her. She took her home. She chained her to the bed. She denied her food. It was like 2 weeks that she was stuck like that. And so after that, I think in Gypsy's mind, she was like, I can't do this anymore. So she once again was online and I think it was like a Christian chat room or something. She met this man, Nicholas Godejohn. They started dating. They had a relationship virtually. He came to meet her. She had told him all the horrible things Dee Dee did to her and basically convinced him to murder her mother.
So the victim became the manipulator.
And he stabbed her to death. So
now he's in prison for life, and Gypsy just got out.
She got out. She was supposed to serve 10 years. I think she served 8.5.
And the reason for that being was she was severely abused while growing up. And she was. But once again, now, what makes me nervous about bringing this individual into society is the only relationship she understands is manipulation.
Well, she's married now. She got married in prison to this person. So, you know, you're a guy,
a man, another man.
Obviously, you know, you're starting with a really strong foundation, so it can only go up. But the thing is now, like, when it was released that she was going to be released from prison, the internet went wild. It was like free Gypsy, tipsy for Gypsy. I mean, people went nuts and were like glorifying and making her this huge celebrity. And I don't know.
The fact of the matter is she's not right in the brain.
Part of me is like, psychologically, you're from a baby, from birth until you were an adult, you dealt with stuff we'll never understand. So obviously mentally you're not going to be okay.
Whoa.
But so part of me is like, okay, she had her mother killed. That feels extreme. What would you do?
Do I believe this person belongs in prison for the rest of her life? I don't know, because When you're that severely abused and you're that severely manipulated, and then all you're taught from the one person who you trust, the only person you have in your life, is to manipulate, cheat, lie, and steal. I don't know if you can. It's like, what's that analogy where you first create the thief and then you punish them? You know, you starve the people, they steal the apple, and then you throw them in jail for stealing the apple. Like, who's at fault there? You know what I mean?
Well, right. And she's been asked, you know, why didn't you first try going to like relatives or somebody and explain?
I didn't think she had any.
I think she did. She said she did.
She had a father.
And she said she was so worried that if her mom found out, what would happen to her, because she'd already gone through this abuse.
Which is totally normal if you're a victim. You've been brainwashed and you've been subdued into submission.
Right. She did say, if I had another chance to redo everything, I don't know if I would go back to when I was a child and tell my aunts and uncles that I'm not sick and mommy makes me sick. She said, or if I would travel back to just the point of that conversation with Nick, who's the guy who killed her mother, and tell him, you know what, I'm going to tell the police everything. I kind of struggle with that. And she said, nobody will ever hear me say I'm glad she's dead or I'm proud of what I did. I regret it every single day. So, I mean, it's something she's going to have to live with.
You have to also understand, how old was she when this happened? 17, 16?
I think she was 19.
Did she understand the consequences of when she said that to an autistic guy? Who, by the way, was madly in love with her and would do anything for her?
No, because she's not.
Right.
Wasn't
so,
right in the head.
Once again, we have two mentally ill people. Well, three mentally ill people. One's no longer with us, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect scenario, and I think there's pros and cons to whatever outcome there is or whatever you do to punish these folks. It's just a very sick situation.
Can I ask a question, just from like the man on the street kind of perspective? Where were the doctors in all of this? I mean, she literally had been prescribed medications to help her sleep. She used a breathing machine. She went through multiple surgeries, including procedures on her eyes, removal of her salivary glands, and when her teeth rotted, probably due to the medications that were given to her, and her missing salivary glands, or neglect, all her teeth were pulled out.
You can see what you
But where were the doctors?
I think there are a lot of doctors that just believe a lot of things.
That, and also because I think they would leave and either go out of state or they would go somewhere else. They didn't have enough time. But
Well, she did claim that after Hurricane Katrina, when they moved, she claimed all the medical records for her daughter were missing.
Now, I did read in one of the articles that when Gypsy was 14, she saw a neurologist in Missouri who did come to believe that she was a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
I
However,
saw this.
The doctor never reported anything to authorities. Now, in later interviews, there was an anonymous report that was made to authorities stating that Dee Dee's accounts of Gypsy's ailments had no medical basis. This resulted in 2 caseworkers visiting their home, but Dee Dee convinced them there was nothing wrong.
I think you have a very high-level manipulator, Dee Dee.
Well, yeah.
And there was another doctor in this documentary that actually approached Dee Dee. And she got very upset and ran out of the office, and he never saw her again. And he said something along the lines like, I wish that I would have found them or gone after them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's a little scary. And, you know, Gypsy, since she's been released, she's got an ebook out, and I think she's got a new docuseries coming out. And she said she doesn't want fame from this. She wants to raise awareness of this syndrome and the effects of it and maybe help others who are suffering with this.
Did she ever speak about the individual she got to kill her mother? With any remorse, any...
I think, yes, I've seen interviews, and she testified in his hearing, and I think she was saying, you know, I asked him to help me do this. But...
Now, he gets to run in prison, though.
I mean... I know.
I don't think there's any perfect way that this pans out. It all just kind of sucks.
This is just a quick. I'm only going to play the beginning part, but this is one of the interviews she's done since being out.
Do you miss your mom, Dee Dee?
Yeah, I miss my mom.
When you look back, do you think there are ways that this could have been handled differently?
Absolutely, absolutely. I look at things in hindsight, And I realized that there were other options besides murder, but I was so sheltered that I couldn't see them at the time.
She's the face of one of the most shocking crime stories in memory.
This is the house where Claudinia Blanchard was found stabbed to death.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard, portrayed by her mother as a chronically ill girl, unable to walk, with that signature baby voice.
Right now, I'm in Cinderella's castle.
But it was all a lie.
So this clip was from an interview on ABC News, and she's been in a bunch of interviews since then, just speaking out. And again, I'm curious. I want to watch her new docuseries because it's going to tell her entire side of the story.
You know, one of the things she did say in the docuseries, which is really just shows you the level of mental undevelopment of this person, was she actually said, I never thought I'd go into prison and get better.
Yeah.
And she did. She thrived in prison. That's how awful that young girl's life was.
Didn't she say she had more freedom in prison than she did in her own life? I mean, how sad is that?
Yeah.
It's terrible. So, you know, it's hard because you hear both sides. Like, people are like, she's still a criminal. She killed her own mother, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you realize how much she's been through. I'm not saying what she did was right whatsoever, but that is something that it's just.
This is a scenario where right and wrong will always be questioned.
Yes.
I mean, what was done to her was horrific. What she did was horrific.
Right.
And there's a lot of people suffering because of it. So it's just like, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I don't know. Is that, you know, the victim became the manipulator, and now there's another person in prisons, and there's a person dead. So I don't know. I do know. I think it's an awful situation, and I think that there's nothing that's good that's going to come out of this ever.
Hopefully she'll just live out her time in quietness and peace. I know she's back with her dad and stepmother, so hopefully, you know, things are quiet for her. So,
I mean, to me, there's so many unanswered questions on this. Number one, the medical profession. Two, the dad, who said he was involved for the first 10 years. There's so many unanswered, like, missing parts to this. I mean, did the dad not realize if he was that involved that something's a little fishy
but
here?
then even if you're not that involved, and you know your child might have leukemia or all these other things, you wouldn't feel the need to maybe visit or step in or go to some appointments, you know? It's just kind of bizarre. And yeah, the medical professionals that worked on her or with her, I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror.
Or child care services who went to visit. I mean, this is really...
You're just performing surgeries on a kid when she doesn't need them? Because the mom said to? Mm-mm. So, in line with just wacky...
Speaking with really weird scenarios, and nothing good's going to come out of it.
Natalia Grace.
This one really interests me.
Same.
I got sucked into this first documentary with the fam.
The father.
The damn family. The fam dam. Yeah.
Well, which I have some clips. I have some clips of him in a minute.
He is pure rock gone mad material.
Rock gone mad manager. He is... Before you...
Did you say manager?
The manager of Rock Gone Mad.
He's
He's on the board. If you never watched him speak, you might read articles or read about this story and be like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know if anyone's ever seen the horror movie The Orphan.
Yeah.
But that's essentially this story, but turning
what they're
it
trying
into...
to create here. And what's interesting is the first time, if you watch this documentary, the way it unfolds is first you're like, oh my God, the kid's nuts. And then you're like,
right.
Oh my God, it's the dad. He's crazy.
And the mom.
Then you're like, it's the mom. She's crazy. And then by the end of the documentary, you're like, they're all crazy.
At the end of the documentary, you're like, well, how old is she? Like, how old is this girl?
They found out.
I know,
finally found out.
But legally, they didn't change what they did.
I can't believe that two people can walk into a courtroom and be like, this person right here, who is my adopted daughter, is not 11, even though she's 22, and they're like, okay, let's sign the paperwork.
Though medical exams and checks have proven that she is not 22, no big deal. You say she's 22, we're going to make her 22. Okay, so Natalia Grace, was a Ukrainian orphan who was brought over to America to be adopted. Originally, she was adopted by another couple, and I think she lived with them for 2 years. They decided they don't want to keep her anymore. Not entirely sure why. So they were trying to find a family to adopt her. They were, I think, they were hoping to find I don't know what the correct term is, little person family, so that she could kind of fit in with them and, all of that. But they didn't find that. So they found Michael and Christine Barnett.
Well, she suffered from dwarfism.
Yes, I'm sorry.
A very
Let me
rare
go back
form of dwarfism.
because this is like the main thing.
Can you say it?
So Natalia Grace, Ukrainian orphan, she was born with a rare form of dwarfism. And again, that's why they were looking preferably for a little person family. But they landed on Michael and Christine Barnett
She
from
had
Indianapolis.
she had also been with another foster family before them. So
Correct.
she was cute as a little button.
She was cute, teeny tiny, but okay. Michael and Christine get this child. Let me just emphasize the word child. And I think what started this, they're saying, and again, if you watch Michael Barnett speak in any interview, it's hard to believe that he's telling the truth, but he's saying the day after they adopted Natalia, who's in this picture here, Christine, the adopted mother, was giving Natalia a bath only to find pubic hair. And they also discovered Natalia was getting her period, and she told them she had been hiding it. Okay.
That's in the first documentary.
Correct. So they go and they take her to an endocrinologist to be checked. And they were saying, no, she's, based on her check and everything, it looks like she's between the ages of 9 to 11. But then they took her to a dentist to get a teeth scan and everything, and she still had baby teeth. So they were saying, no, she's actually younger than that. But Michael and Christine had in their heads that this girl was an adult.
Well, but why did they have it in their head? So it came out in the second documentary where it's now Natalia's side of the story. What you learn more about is Christine. Mm-hmm. And Christine's not a good Christine. She's a bad Christine.
It's not this
I'm a good
Christine.
She
the blonde Christine
also had 2 sons who don't talk to her right now. But apparently her one son was a genius, and she got a little bit of notoriety in the community and even a little bit on television because she claimed that she turned her son into a genius. And she wrote a book about it. I don't remember the name of the book. And she claimed she could do this to anyone if you just let her teach them and take them over and whatever. So her son, by the way, who's in the documentaries, more mental things, more mental issues in the family. But, he's a very smart kid, went to college like 4 years earlier, maybe even longer than that. She claimed that she could do this for another kid. And when she tried to apply it to Natalia,
she was having her looking like trying to do physics workbooks.
it blew up in smoke. And Natalia's like, I'm 11.
I think she was even younger.
I'm 9. Like,
I'm a kid.
And there's a kid trying to navigate through a very, very tough environment that Christine was creating. Now, Michael claims he had nothing to do with this, and he's totally innocent, and he was totally manipulated by her too. Yet he was the dad.
I think he's trying to come at it now where he's the victim, and
of course that's
he had
how he's
nothing
coming.
to do with this, and he's trying to put everything on his ex-wife.
And completely emotionally unhinged, this man.
Oh, I can't wait to play a clip. Can't wait.
So here, the long of the short of it is Natalia legally got her age changed. I'm sorry, the parents got the kids' age legally changed to 22, 23.
Yeah.
They put her up in an apartment alone and then move 7 or 8 hours north in Canada.
Yes.
And left a child in an apartment on the 2nd story alone. And if you know anything about Natalia and this dwarfism, she can't walk.
She can barely walk. They changed her birth year from 2003 to 1989.
Yeah.
Okay? And they were creating this narrative that she was a sociopath, that she was threatening to kill them. She's as tall as this.
I think she's...
The Michael tried to say their sons,
Give me my drink back.
were threatened by her and that she was
Right.
scaring them.
I mean, this is
Okay.
a little girl. Little.
Okay. Yeah, saying that she
I sound like the woman from Annie. Little girls.
Yeah, that she was threatening to kill them. This Natalia Grace. Okay. So to Christy's point, because they got her age legally changed, they were like, okay, she's an adult. We're going to leave her to fend for herself. We'll pay for the apartment. She's going to live on her own. And then her 1-year lease in the first apartment didn't get renewed because other neighbors were
people were complaining about her.
She would go into their apartments like uninvited and go into their fridge because she's a child.
She's a child.
But they were told she's an adult. So they got uncomfortable with her. They moved her to the second story house apartment, like an hour away, left her to the wolves, and then this other family ended up taking her.
Imagine 12-year-old living by themselves.
Who has a disability?
It's crazy. And these people are roaming free. They haven't had any charges brought against them, and I don't understand.
I think they were dropped.
I don't understand how that happens.
Anyway, there's a docuseries. It's called The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, and this is just a short clip of all these different parts of the interview.
Where can you find it?
Where is the docuseries on? I think it was
It's
HBO.
TLC, I thought. Everything's on
TLC,
TLC.
but I watched it because I don't have cable, so I think I watched it through HBO Max. But this is just a nice little clip of Michael Barnett from different parts of the interview.
Signs of guilty behavior.
And I just want you to take a look and see how you feel about this.
It's called
man.
the Michael Barnett Show.
It's called the Michael Barnett Show because he was putting on a show.
It's game time. I'm on stage. We were all abused.
He's crazy.
Is this really him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just couldn't.
Can't. Look at him.
I'm still not ready to stand up to her. And I'm not ready to. Abused by that woman. My other 2 sons are abused by that woman right now today. That woman is a controlling, lying, manipulating woman.
This is the best. Look at. He's so upset. He's holding a baseball bat, by the way.
It's game time. It's game time.
Yeah. So if you think that's a stable human being,
I love the face. I mean,
Yeah.
the face.
he looks
So
like
maybe
E.T.
this whole episode seems like the theme is people who should never be parents.
Correct. But that's the thing I keep going back to. Why would they adopt a child? Like, why?
Because the claim now is Christine Barnett felt like she could replicate this genius status in any child through her book.
So you go and adopt a handicapped child?
Yeah, and then she doesn't give you the notoriety you want, so you get rid of her. I don't know if that's the case. That's just what the second documentary is saying. And then by the end of the second documentary, it gets even weirder because now Natalia's claiming, she's stating her side of the story, which seems more coming from an actual real child and how she felt. And I'm glad that she was able to do that, but now the new parents now that are adopting her are claiming she's crazy and something's wrong.
That was weird. It ends like that.
It ends like that. Now there's another documentary.
So now you got to wait.
So once again, we're just on the wild roller coaster of reality TV.
Yeah. And by the way, the family that is now claiming that she's been with them for 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. That, of course, at the end of the documentary, this call comes into the producers, right?
Yep.
And she's and they're interviewing Natalia. And now it's all of a sudden this family, the Mans, is their name, are saying they don't want her to live with them anymore. There's been things that have gone on.
Well,
and it's like,
remember what we learned through the. Oh, I don't know if we covered this. This could be another topic for us, but the Making a Murderer documentary. Remember what we learned through that, and then what really actually happened when you saw the Convicting a Murderer documentary. Fascinating how the Making a Murderer documentary folks really twisted that story. I mean, twisted it beyond to the point where they were writing a fiction novel.
Yeah, so I'll believe it when I see it. I was on some like Reddit thread about this, and people were saying Natalia Grace, she's on social media, I guess. I think she's on Instagram. So she's posted since that documentary from like the holidays, and she's with that family. the man's. So part of me is like, it's probably just to get
Of course, it
traction
is.
for the next thing.
You betcha.
But
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Crazy
Wild.
families out there.
if you want some entertainment for your week, just Google YouTube Michael Barnett, and you won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed, I promise.
All right, that's all we got for you today. It's
Yeah.
good to see you guys again.
See
Good-
you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.